Hey guys, I'm Brian Bachkiller, and in what is turning into a series for me here, I'm going to be talking about animal rights in today's video. So again, if this isn't your thing, feel free to move on. I don't really care. So, this is old news by now, but as many people know, a little while ago, I think it's over a month ago now, a piece of shit dentist from Shitsville, USA. I'm not even going to say this dude's name because he's a piece of garbage. And everybody knows his name. And it really doesn't matter to me what his name is because he's an asshole just like every other asshole who kills animals for fun. So I don't really care what his name is. He's a piece of garbage. Anyway, this guy shot and killed Cecil the Lion. Everybody's heard about Cecil the Lion at this point. And he shot and killed Cecil the Lion. He did it in Africa. He paid a lot of money to be able to do it. He said that he thought he was doing, the right thing, that it was legal. He said he didn't know that he was killing an animal that was on protected land and was protected, which is all bullshit. It's all these hunter shitheads say all this stuff, and they always say it because they like to try and consider themselves conservationists. There's this whole thing of hunting is conservation. When we kill an animal as a hunter, we keep things in control, and it's all fucking bullshit. And I get so sick and tired of hearing this over and over and over again from these fucking idiots who kill animals for fun. And that's what these guys do. They kill animals for fun. They're not conservationists. They're not helping anything. They're not making the world a better place or anything like that. They're killing animals for fun. And that's what this guy said he was doing. And basically, if you don't know the story, you can go out and you can read it. That's been absolutely everywhere. But what it comes down to is this piece of shit paid a lot of money to go to Africa to kill Cecil the Lion. And the lion was lured out of his home with a dead carcass of, an antelope or something along those lines. And then he was shot with an arrow because these pieces of garbage now use arrows, crossbows, things like that. They use them because they're silent. But Cecil didn't die. Cecil was then tracked for 40 hours by this piece of garbage and the pieces of garbage that helped him to do it. He was tracked for 40 hours and then finally he was shot. And so, it's a really brutal thing. And it hits me in a way that, it makes me so incredibly irate I want to burn things to the fucking ground. I'm so tired of my species. I'm so over what it is that we do to every other creature on this planet. I'm just so over it. And I don't really know how to reconcile my own cognitive dissonance with my own species, and be able to just not look at so much of the world as being full of shit. It's really hard. And that's, of course, that's just the way it's going to be. I chose to be an animal rights activist. I chose to do the things that I do. I choose to read about things like what happened to Cecil the Lion and stuff like that. So I have to deal with this. But I can't understand, why this keeps happening in the world that we live in now. I just can't understand it. This guy is a well-known big game hunter. He's a fucking piece of garbage. I'm sorry. He's an incredibly rich dentist, and he can do whatever he wants. He's got money and he can go do it. And there are people that argued that the $55,000 that he paid to go and shoot Cecil the Lion went back into the local economy and helped people in Africa, and it didn't. That's bullshit. And there's plenty of documentation about these things, about where money from big game hunts, from groups different safari hunting groups and things like that. The Dallas Safari Club is the biggest one. Of course, it's in Texas. There's a lot of things that refute all of that. These companies, these groups, they like to say that the money that comes from these big game hunts goes back into the local economies and helps people, and it doesn't. That's not what happens. The money goes back into the pockets of people who don't deserve it. And even if it were going back into the local economy, I don't care. You could take your $55,000, you stupid piece of garbage, and you could donate it to any number of conservation groups that are actively working to help protect animals, and do it without shooting them. You could take your money and you could choose to do that, you fucking piece of garbage. You choose not to because you're a piece of garbage. Because you're a human, because you don't give a fuck about any other living creature on this planet, because you're a piece of garbage. I'm sorry, you're a piece of garbage. I really don't care. I don't care if the dude has family. I don't care about anything that this dude has in his life. He's a piece of shit, okay? And he's just one piece of shit in a giant fucking pile. The thing about this, and this is kind of the reason I'm making this video, it's not to totally talk about Cecil the Lion. I was upset about it, but for me, as someone who's an animal rights activist, and someone who works hard in my own way to try and help animals, I see this kind of shit constantly. I donate money from sales of my music to groups like the Savo Trust, who protects elephants in Africa. And no matter what they do, they're still basically fighting a losing battle. They're fighting a losing battle. They're underfunded, and they're fighting against people who have massive amounts of money who can do anything that they want. And so, I see this stuff constantly. And so people got outraged the world over, which I found interesting. Suddenly people were suddenly outraged about an animal being killed. And I don't really know why. And this all comes down to, the internet, the world that we live in. It allows for this completely different way of information being spread, and some things just end up getting viral. And that's just the bottom line. And everything with Cecil the Lion ended up getting viral. And that's good. I'm glad that happened. But what immediately happened is that you had a bunch of people who said, oh my God, I can't believe that this lion was killed. And they lost their minds, and most of them didn't do shit. I'm sorry, I know that they didn't do shit. All these people on Facebook posting Rip Cecil and all this kind of shit, they didn't do shit. If you people who were so irate about the death of Cecil the Lion did anything, if all of you took $5, and donated it to a group that helps animal conservation, we would have seen a change. We would have seen something happen. You know what ended up happening very soon after Cecil the Lion was killed? Well, the first thing that ended up happening is that there was a hold put on big game hunting in some parks in Africa. And then a week later, it was lifted. You know why it was lifted? Money, guys. It was lifted because of money. Because shitheads who have lots of money, people like Prince Harry, Donald Trump's sons, and this piece of shit dentist have more money in their fucking couch cushions than any conservation group has ever in its entire existence. So if all these people that were so goddamn irate were to do anything except just post a fucking Facebook photo, maybe some things would start to change. Now, here's the interesting thing that I start to see happen, is that everyone gets upset about Cecil the Lion. Not a lot of people really do anything. Maybe some people donate, things like that. Ricky Gervais is on his Facebook page doing what he has been doing for a while now, which is, talking about how he thinks it's a travesty and things like that. And I'm glad he does. I think he's a good guy, but I think he could, pony up and take some of the money that he's got and start putting it towards things. I'm glad he's an activist, but you've got money, bro, so you can do things with it. But soon after this, about 2 weeks in, people start losing their minds and talking about how the fact that we're talking about the death of Cecil the Lion is something that we shouldn't be doing. It's a bad thing. Why are we giving so much attention to Cecil the Lion when there's people being killed and other travesties that are happening in the world and all these kinds of things? And people are saying that all this outrage for this lion is just a waste and it should really go to other things and all this kind of stuff. Well, here's a fucking newsflash for you folks. There's enough outrage to go around for everyone, okay? There is. I promise you, there's enough outrage to go around. And just this once, we can allow for the animals to have something on a grand scale. Something. Because it doesn't happen, guys. Unless there's an oil spill, the likes of Exxon Valdez, let's say, right? Which some of you may know and some of you may not, because already this was a long time ago and it doesn't really get talked about anymore. But let's say that there's an oil spill, the likes of Exxon Valdez, right? And the news puts up photos and pictures and videos and all these kinds of things of animals covered in oil and people going to try and save them. Suddenly there's outrage, right? But unless it's something on a massive grand scale, such as that, people don't care. They just don't care. And I find that so just mind-blowing to me. I don't understand how it is that we are, as a race, the human race, we're 7 billion, 8 billion strong, whatever it is, and we are so completely discompassionate to every single possible creature on this planet. And yes, even to ourselves. Atrocities committed by humans to other humans are innumerable. There are so many of them that there's no way to ever even, really be able to keep track of all of it. We know that. I'm not, disregarding that. I'm not trying to disregard that. But the thing is that we just have seemingly no ability to, on a grand scale, have any major amount of compassion for the other creatures that exist on this planet. Cecil the Lion was, as I say, shot with a crossbow bolt, tracked for 40 hours, and then killed. And I just don't understand how people don't put themselves into that mindset. How do you not put yourself into the mindset of an animal that is shot, doesn't die, and has to basically crawl around trying to escape his captors, his killers, for 40 hours, for nearly 2 days, only to then be killed? If this were a human being that had this done to them, it would be considered the murder of the century. People would say, what the fuck happened here? People would lose their minds, and they would call for this person to be lynched on a grand scale, and they would insist that it actually happened. It wouldn't just end up being this joke thing, which is a lot of what this ended up being anyway. People would lose their shit. They would. They would lose their shit. And it would be a thing. But as it is, it happens with a lion. People are upset, I suppose, because it's a lion. Meanwhile, at the same time, while everyone was losing their shit about Cecil the Lion being killed, a massive amount of elephants were killed in Africa. And elephants, by the way, guys, you're going to be really lucky if you get to see elephants, honestly, within the next 50 years, at the rate that we're going, at the rate that we allow for things to happen at. And we can't say, oh, animals are in zoos. That's great. They'll be safe. They'll be just fine. No, they won't be. They will die and they will go away. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Preserves, sanctuaries, all these things in Africa still end up getting infiltrated by these fucking pieces of shit. These white entitled fuckfaces. And yeah, I'm a white guy, and I try to do everything that I can to push off the entitlement that I know that I have basically just inherited. But all these fucking assholes who kill these animals are generally these white fucking pieces of garbage with lots of fucking money who manage to just fly off to Africa, pay some people some cash, and shoot an animal. Just like Corey fucking Knowlton, that piece of garbage. And you saw my video on that piece of shit. If you didn't, feel free to check it out, because I think he's a fucking piece of garbage too. And I think all these people are pieces of garbage. And I just can't get my head around it. And again, I'm trying constantly. And I try to see the good in the world, and I try to see the good things that exist and all this kind of stuff. And I really work hard to focus on it. And there are good things, and there are people doing good things, and there are good things that are happening and stuff like that. But it's incredibly frustrating. So, I know this one has gone on a long time, and I don't know what to tell you guys. This is just what's going to happen. This stuff bubbles up inside of me, and I get frustrated, and this is one of the few things that I can do sometimes in order to get it out. Because, like I say, the only other thing that I really want to do is go out and take a baseball bat to something, to a car or something else, like something. Because I don't know what to do with the amount of anger that wells up on this, except for, do things like write music and try really hard to change it. And I'm trying really hard to do what I can to change it. But I just hate the fact that these rich fucking pieces of garbage with tons of money and resources and everything else can never use the resources that they have to try and better the world. They use their resources to further destroy the world. They hunt down an animal for 40 hours, they kill him and behead him. And they leave his body. I don't know. It drives me nuts. And I don't know what else to do about it. And I'm trying really hard, like I say, and I'm donating the meager amount of money that I can and trying to work with animal rights groups and things like that. But it is such a hard battle to fight. So I guess what I'm trying to say here, is if you were outraged by Cecil the Lion, if you were one of the people who, was really upset by what happened to him, and you don't consider yourself an animal rights activist, that's okay. If you're not someone who, constantly sees this stuff every day through social media and reads about it and things like that, okay, that's all right. Not everyone wants to have this stuff in their lives, and I don't blame them. It's really hard. But if you were outraged at all, I urge you, I ask you, please, to do something. Just do something. And it doesn't mean that you have to fly to Africa and mount up and carry fully automatic weapons and protect animals. Not everyone can do that. But thankfully there are people who are doing that. But just do something, please. It's all I ask, is just do something. And, there's a lot of resources, and I'll put some in the link section of this video for you to check out. There's a lot of different resources. And, all I ask is that if you are someone who is at all moderately compassionate, and if you still eat meat, okay, but if you care about animals, if you care about the planet, if you care about anything beyond just yourself, please just consider these things. And please consider that, you know, Cecil the Lion was one casualty in just millions that happen every single year. And I am glad that his face has become sort of, you know, part of the movement and things like that. But a lot of us were already here. And if you're joining the fight, then welcome to the party, pal. Because I don't have anything else to tell you except it's going to be really hard and really frustrating. And the only thing that you can do is continue to fight it. And that's all I ask, you know, hopefully in the long run, is that you do that. So please just get active. Just do something. There's things that you can do. There's ways that you can fight. There's ways that you can help. And please don't just make that one thing just posting something on Facebook. It's not doing anything. Please do something else. Please. That's it. So there you go, guys. That's what I got, you know, in this video today. And, you know, I don't know. Thank you guys for tuning in and for listening. I know that these go long, and I know that I can just kind of rant, but it's all I have sometimes to just get it out, at least. And if I can reach anybody out there, I feel like I've at least done something. So there you have it. My new album, In Case of Revolution, is out. It's a battle record, and proceeds from it go to help animal rights. So if you're interested in it, check out the link in the description of the video. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and keep fighting where you can. Take care.
Red lies, force fed.